everybody, and welcome back to the Diverse Beats podcast. So we are very excited to have producer and DJ Archie Beats with us today. Thank you, Archie, so much for being here. How are you?
No problem at all. I'm good, thank you. Yourself?
Good, yeah, very, very good, thank you. We really think that having you on this podcast will be great for the listeners and for our artists to get an insight on kind of how to make it in the industry and how it all works. So
Yeah,
I guess kind of the place to start would be if you could just tell us a bit about your career, how you have kind of got to where you have got to, and was music always kind of your choice and your path, I guess?
Yeah, so I mean, from a young age, I was in a musical family. My dad liked music, my mum liked music. She used to like Luther Vandross and Marvin Gaye and all that kind of thing. And when I was growing up, she had it on all the time. And I got to about, I think I was just turning 13, and I had a few friends that lived around the estate, and they were mixing, and they had decks and stuff, and I was like, I want to do that. Can you teach me? So I went to his house one day. They taught me how to mix, and the rest is history, really. And just from 13 up until my age now, it's been my life. Like, music is my passion anyway. So whatever happens, it's in my blood, it's in my veins. So I mean, I always just loved, listening to music and going to parties and listening to the old tape packs, and just at school and that we always used to listen to music. Music is just my life. Do you know what I mean? So I started DJing from 13, but I've been producing 6 years now.
Amazing.
So that's kind of taken my music to the next level, I've always been a DJ. I've always loved doing that kind of thing, but production is taking me to a new platform. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so, absolutely.
And when I first started DJing, it was jungle drum and bass, and then it was like speed garage, and then UK garage, and then it evolved to like house. And the style I kind of produce now is like garage, house, bass. It's got everything mixed into it. So it's my vision on what I want to make.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of journey, really.
Love that. That's really interesting. And it's great that kind of as time's gone on, then you've been able to evolve both musically, but also kind of through social media, through other platforms as things have grown. And I mean, we've got to say, congratulations on the BBC One airplay. That is amazing.
Yeah, twice this week as well. Like,
yay!
The label told me on Tuesday that they played it. And then last night I was just chilling, just going to watch a bit of TV, and then my phone started going off, and I was like, what? And everyone was saying, they're playing it again, they're playing it. I was like, what? This is crazy.
It's amazing.
When I first started producing, about a year after, I had 3 Radio 1 plays. I got signed to a pretty big label called CR2 Records, and I thought, this is it, do you know what I mean? And kind of like, I was ahead of the game, but the thing is, I wasn't experienced enough as a producer to push it on. I was just kind of like thrown into the deep end. I just threw myself into the deep end, and I just wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
So I kind of had to take a step back and just learn a bit more about production, and learn a bit more about the sound I wanted to make.
Yeah.
And kind of, it's kind of been like a rebirth. It's taken me a good few years to get back into the swing of it, but obviously with coronavirus and stuff, it's made me get in the studio more, learn more, and then like the music's starting to come out again now. So nothing is bigger than getting a Radio 1 player as a producer in my eyes. You know what I mean? That is the kind of pinnacle where you want to be. So to have that on like a big show like Charlie's and Ricky and Malvin's is big. So I'm buzzing, and hopefully they might play it again tonight. So
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
Perfect. And Jess, I'm going to pass it over to you. Do you have any questions for Archie?
Yeah, I mean, you touched upon it a second ago, but would you say then through COVID, it's actually been a more positive thing for you? You know, you're learning and you're doing all these different things, which maybe you might not have had the chance to if COVID hadn't happened.
Yeah, I think where I was so busy before, I was doing a lot of DJing. I don't think I'd have got the downtime to just push myself into the studio. And I know that I've made about a good 10 of my strongest ever tracks in lockdown. And I don't think that would have happened. It probably would have happened, but it wouldn't have happened as quickly as I wanted it to. It kind of like COVID has just made a lot of people kind of really focus on themselves and focus on what they want to achieve in life. And, it's made us all take a step back and just realize what's important and what's not. And I just think that this happening has been a blessing for some people, but obviously not for others.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want to see anyone, you know, in bankrupt or anything like that, or losing jobs or whatnot. But I think for a lot of people as well, it's been refreshing because they've had time to do the things, you know, live their passions. And yeah, I've just been able to get back in the studio and make music that I probably wouldn't have made if this didn't happen. So it's kind of been a blessing in disguise. And I know the track that got played on Radio 1, I made that at the start of lockdown. I know that for sure. So, you know, that's a blessing in disguise as it goes. So, yeah, I mean, it's just one of them things, you know. It is what it is, and we just got. Hopefully, we're coming out the other end of it now, and there's a lot of positive things going on. So, I hope, you know, we just got to keep pushing on now, haven't we? You know.
Exactly. Could you like talk us through your composition and writing process now then, and what you'd specifically do? Is there like a structure to it? Is it more spontaneous? How do you approach, you know, making a new track?
It's been a tough one because you can be inspired to go in the studio and you can write music and get it done. But sometimes you just need to take a step back and just, you know, just do it when you feel like you need to do it. Because if you wait for inspiration, it's not always going to be there. You know, you sometimes need to force yourself to make music. And I know for a fact that if I wait until I'm inspired, I'm going to be waiting all my life, because sometimes, you know, things that inspire me are like going to a rave and listening to other producers' tunes and things like that, and meeting people and and things like Radio 1 plays. That's given me a massive kick up the arse again now to go, look, this, you know, step it up, you know, this is what you're capable of. And I know that, you know, I'm good musically, so it's just a case of now I've kind of taken a step back and just I do it because it's my love and my passion. And I think that's why it's working for me again, because I took it too seriously. I was trying to be someone I might not have been. And now I'm just enjoying it again and loving the process. And, you know, I always had the end goal in sight, where I was not, you know, focusing on the journey. And the journey is so important. That is where everything, you learn everything, you make mistakes, and then you move forwards again. But I'm just enjoying it now, and that's the main thing. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's it.
Absolutely. We always say to artists, when you stop having fun, that's kind of where you should stop doing music, because you know, yes, okay, there is always going to be an end goal, and there's always going to be something that you're working towards, and as long as you're having fun, then it's all going to be worth it, and it will kind of pay off in the end. So yeah, no, it's really helpful. So 100%. Thank you very much for that.
You've got to love it, right? So
yeah, definitely. Michael, I'll pass it over to you. What about you? Do you have any questions?
Yeah, definitely. Can I just apologize for my shaky internet connections? Yeah, just before anything goes ahead.
Mine's a bit dark, but I keep having a power cut in the upstairs, and the lights keep going off. So every hour I need to go back downstairs and turn the fuse box on. But of course,
that makes me feel so much better.
It's like 2 weeks till they come, so I'm just gonna have to do what I got right now.
I know, bro. Just see. But yeah, I'm gonna. What I wanted to ask you is, I know you explained about kind of your upbringing in regards to the music that you're around and that you're into and what inspired you. But can we kind of clearly define Archie Beats genre-wise, or would you like to stay out of that kind of box and like 5 years down the line, you might be making something totally different to what you are now? I just want to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, do you know what? Like, I make all styles of house music, but I think if I narrowed it down to being one sound, it would be like 90s rave music, 90s house music, but evolved to 2020, 2021. Like new, I'd kind of say a new sound, but with an old sound to it. That's what I'm kind of known for. But I don't like to pigeonhole myself in, oh, you make that sound, you make that sound. I like to just vary it up. Like, I made an album, I think it was end of 2019, and on the album it had so many variants of like house music. It had kind of like a deep house tone, had like a bass house tone on there, it had like piano house. So I don't really like to pigeon myself into one style, because I just enjoy making certain types of house music. And if I want to make a piano house track one day, or a dark track, it's for me, it's all about how I'm feeling and my emotions. You know, if I'm in a good mood, I can make an uplifter. Or if I had a bad day, or not very rarely do I have a bad day, but if I'm in a bit of a dark mood or whatnot, I'll go in there and make a dark tune, or, you know, a club tune or something like that. So No, you know, 90s house and rave is what I originate from because I come from that scene anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, I make all styles of house music, and yeah, that's it. But really, yeah.
Okay.
Nice. Well done. All right, is it my turn then? Should I ask a question?
Go ahead. Yeah, you asked me a question. I was leaving it last. Sorry, Serhat.
I've been waiting here. I'm like, I'm joking. Archie, lovely to have you on the podcast, bro. First and foremost, welcome. Secondly, I have a question in terms of technical side of the story. So, obviously, as far as I know, you produce, mix, and master yourself. Am I right?
Yeah, I do it for myself. Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, did you go to a music school? Did you go to music uni? Did you actually get actual professional education about producing music? If not, how did you learn how to mix and master and produce? Because obviously, the podcast is very important for up and coming producers out there. So we're trying to give them as much useful information as possible. So in terms of that, can you please give us some insights?
Yeah, so the first step was to get some speakers. I'm in my studio now, actually. I got some speakers, I got a laptop, and I was like, let me just try Logic. And I had a friend who was using Logic, and he said to me how he learned was YouTube. So for the first 3 months, I just went on YouTube and just learned. So I got the basics done. I got to know everything I needed to know about the basics of Logic. And then I just taught myself. I didn't go to any college. I didn't anything like that. I just taught myself with a little help from a friend. He was coming around on odd occasion and showing me different tools and techniques and stuff like that. I kind of just picked it up myself, and yeah, that's about it really. And it was just all about YouTube and just learning and, you know, doing it all myself. I never really had help from anyone in the first couple of years, I'd say, of my journey. But then as I got to like 3 or 4 years into it, one of my friends, he was a really good producer, and he showed me how to like EQ stuff, mix stuff, and master stuff. So when he taught me how to do that, it just evolved my productions. My productions went to average. Now in the net, like I'd say the last 2 or 3 years, they've gone such a step up, mix and master wise. And you know, he helped me a lot. So I would definitely say, if you know someone in the industry who you look up to, I'd say go and have a couple of sessions with them. That's a massive thing for me. Like, you can sit in a studio all day and watch YouTube tutorials, but there's nothing like sitting with another producer showing you what to do, because I think you take it in a bit more. Do you know what I'm saying? With watching YouTube all day, I think it can get a bit blurry. So
Yeah,
you know, if you admire someone in the scene, or someone's, you know, a bit higher up than you are, or you like their sound, you know, drop them a little message and say, look, can I come and sit in the studio for a couple of times? Even if you're giving them a bit of cash, it's gonna be influential for your process. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'd say don't be afraid to ask for help. That's what I'd say.
What about if you don't? If there's no one around you, and you are literally just one of a kind person in this place that you live in, and there's no one around you, what would you recommend then?
Excuse me, sorry.
That's all
right. I would say, what you mean is if there's nowhere to go to,
if you don't know anybody, if you don't know anyone, that is into producing music around you, what would you recommend them? Would you recommend them to stick to YouTube, or would you recommend them to go to a school to learn, pay a bit of money? You know, because as we all know, there are colleges out there, especially in the UK.
Yeah, of course.
Don't want to give no names, but you know, there are a variety of schools who are charging enormous amounts of money,
couple of grands and whatnot. Yeah, I get that.
I've seen some courses going up to 16K in some cases. You know what I mean? So, but this is basically what I'm trying to clarify, because some up and coming artists, they have the passion, but they're also scared because of the costs side of the story. Because obviously, as you would know, setting up even a basic studio, you could set up a studio for 500 quid, or you could set up a studio for 50,000. It's all entirely up to you. But, you know, even then, you still need to invest a little bit of money in there. But, you know, I'm just trying to basically clarify that. So actually, the people who have got the passion for music won't get scared, because I've witnessed myself that some up and coming artists or people who have got passion for music, they are kind of scared because they are already aware of the fact that it's a costly passion, and they already got this question mark: what if I can't make it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
just so we can shed some light on that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you've always got to look at things positive anyway. Else you're never going to get, you're never going to get to where you want to get to. But I think if you want something that bad, you will do anything to get there. You just will. But like I said, like YouTube is the main thing that how I learnt myself anyway. Like you say, you could get a course, but it's going to cost you a lot of money. You can learn anything in your life from the internet these days. It's not like the olden days where you had to go to a place to learn. Back when I was younger, or when you guys were, we didn't have any of this, technology. We didn't have phones. We didn't have PCs. We had to learn the hard way. We had to get up and go to school, or we had to get up and do. We had to get up off our asses and do it. But now you can sit in front of a screen and learn whatever you want. So, the world is your oyster, really. The internet is a huge spam that you can use to your advantage, and that's what I'd say. If you want to do a course, then I would suggest do a course, because they are good. Don't get me wrong; you're going to learn how to do things properly.
Exactly.
With YouTube, you might cut corners and do things differently. For me, as a producer, I probably don't do a lot of things properly, but I do them my way. So I think everyone has to be individual in the way they do things. So, I'd just say YouTube is the main thing, or a course, or if not, try and get someone that can help you, learn production. They're the three main ways. But like I said, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Definitely.
Definitely.
It is. Nicole?
No, perfect. And I couldn't agree more, really. I think a lot of people do feel that they have to be independent in this industry, and they want to succeed kind of so they can say they've done it all themselves. But it is kind of an industry of not what you know, it's who you know. I know everybody says that, but you've got to network, and you've got to kind of ask for help and accept that, because there might be someone that kind of comes around and ask for your help, and you want to make sure that you're able to give them the correct knowledge and help them in the best way possible. Leading on from that, kind of we've covered the production side. Who does your promotion and your kind of marketing for your tracks? Is that something you do individually, or I'm sure you don't want to share all your secrets, which is fine.
It's cool.
But just kind of general.
Do you know what it is? Like, if you sign to a label, usually the label pushes your music anyway. So I've always tried to release music with labels that are going to push my music. But I've had help from people that I've met along the way. What you just touched on then is who you know. Like, it's not what you know, it's who you know. I've done a lot of, been to a lot of events and met a lot of people in the industry, and I think that's helped me massively. Like you say, you can be the best producer in the world, but if you don't know the right people, you're not going to get the doors open for you. And that's what networking does. Like, I can't stress how important networking is in our industry right now, because you just get to know so many people, and you don't know who's going to open a door for you. I don't know who works where, or I remember years ago I met a guy called Graham Farmer who runs Debt Transmission. You guys have probably heard of it. And it was a blessing in disguise, because he has helped me so much. We've become good friends now. But he got me off to the right foot with the right people. He gave me my first mix on Debt Transmission. He got me my first premiere. He got me my first magazine article. And I just think meeting someone like that got me off to a flying start. And then the next year I was their resident DJ, and I was doing a mix every month. And to be doing that on such a big platform was so important to me. Do you know what I'm saying? And he just had my back. He wasn't managing me or anything like that. He was just helping me and guiding me. And now he does boost sessions where he helps so many other people because of his knowledge over the years. And that's what he did for me at the beginning. It's just and it's all coming to fruition now. Do you know what I'm saying? All those years of helping me and just guiding me along, it's just got me to the top. And like I said, networking is just so important for anyone that is thinking about getting into the industry, or You know, you just have to look at what music you want to make and set yourself that route to go down. You know, where can I meet that person? Where can I see that DJ? If I can get to that event, can I go and hang out with that DJ? Get his email address, get that guy's email address. It's such a, you know, it's such a good thing to do. It really is. And then it just opens so many doors for you.
Yeah, no, definitely. And kind of what would be your 3 top tips for someone that isn't maybe sure of where to go for networking? Obviously, you've touched on the fact that you can go to events. Is that like masterclasses? Is that like shows? If you could just kind of give your top 3, I guess, advice on how to network would be great.
Yeah, I think whatever sort of genre you're making, there's always going to be a DJ that's playing your style of music. So what I'd say is try and get to the parties where your favorite DJ is going to be playing, and try and, you know, when he's coming off stage, you want to grab him. Can I get your email address? You know,
Yeah.
That's what I used to do. Anyway, I used to wait for him by the entrance or the exit, and, you know, grab him and say, "Can I have a quick picture of you? Oh, can I get your email address?" And the next day, I'll be like, "Oh, it was good to meet you last night. Your set was wicked. You give me your email address. These are some tunes." And 9 times out of 10, they will listen to them just because they've had that human interaction with you. They've seen you and they've gone, "Oh, that's that guy from last night." You know, these DJs, they're human like me and you. They will remember. It's like if I go on and do a DJ set and someone comes and asks for my email address and I get an email, I'm like, "Oh, that's that guy from last night." You know, it's just, and then it just rings that bell and you're like, cool. That's one big thing. Definitely just trying to network and meet people in that kind of scene as well, because, you know, they could know someone that you don't. And then it might lead you on to, you know, that next big person that could be an industry head that you could get a mix on, or they could be working for a magazine, or they could be, you just never know. And I'd say the third one would be know what music you want to make, know what your targets are. You know, like it's no good sending a tune to like Hot Creations if you make piano house, because they're just not going to sign it. So it's better just to like narrow it down, narrow your sound down, look who's playing it, look what labels you want to get on, look what sort of parties they're playing at, what parties you want to play at, and just focus all of that energy down that road. Work out what labels are signing, what kind of music you make, and just focus the energy into the smaller part of the scene, rather than going, "I want that label, I want that label, I want that label." You've got to focus on your top 3, and just, you know, even if you have to start at the kind of lower level labels, and you're going to have to do that anyway unless you get really lucky. I know some people who have made 1 or 2 tunes and they've gone bang straight to a big label, but 9.8 times out of 10 you're going to have to work your way up. That's just how it is, you know.
That's true.
So yeah.
What's your next aim? Which label are you aiming next? Because I know you have, I know you have CR2. I know you have a release on Champion Records.
Yeah, I had a release on Champion. That was a couple of years ago now.
Yeah, you have CR2.
CR2. I had a couple of releases with them.
So what's next?
Else? Mad Tech. I had a release with. I released my
Marylebone
album on
Records.
March. Sorry, say again.
Did you just do? Is it Marylebone Records?
Marylebone Records.
Marylebone
Yeah.
Records.
This label that I've just signed to, are like quite a new label, but it's really kind of a big thing, to be honest with you.
They are very well connected, aren't they?
Well, yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. I've done a live stream for them guys, not last week, the week before, and it was just incredible. The setup was amazing. The people I got to meet, you know, there was only a few people in the office and stuff, but it kind of like changed a lot of things for me already just by going to that live stream, you know.
Amazing.
And yeah, that's, you know, I've had a Radio 1 play through them guys already, and Judge Jules has been playing the track, and Clapton's been playing it, and I had a couple of messages from a few of my other DJ friends today saying how much they like the EP. And yeah, it's just gone down a storm, to be fair. And it's just, I think that because obviously we've been locked down, I haven't released any music. I've not really wanted to release any music because my music is kind of club music, and I just thought if I release it, it's just nothing's going to happen. But now that I can feel the buzz coming back, so I was ready to release again. The labels wanted to, you know, to release my music, and yeah, it's been a blessing in disguise really, because it's opened many doors for me working with this label. I have a release coming out at the end of this month on a label that I've been trying to get on for about 3 years. I'm not going to say anything yet, but here's a prime example. I DJ'd with this guy 3 years ago in Oxford. He was like the headliner. I was coming on after him. And just before he left, we got our pictures and stuff. And I said, can I get your email? I'm desperate to get on your label. Can I send you some tracks? And as soon as I got home that evening, I was straight into my, I didn't even go to sleep or anything. I was straight into my studio, opened the laptop, and I sent him like my 5 best tracks. And he got back to me the next day. And he was like, it's great to meet you last night. These tracks are really good, but they're not quite right for the label. Obviously, I was a bit gutted because I thought they were right. But anyway, 3 years down the line, he said yes. And we signed the track to the label, and that's coming out at the end of this month.
I guess I have an idea.
Doesn't it?
Say again?
No, you go, Serhat. It's okay.
I guess I have an idea who it is, but I'm not going to say anything, obviously.
You might have seen a picture of me of us before, but yeah, don't say nothing because when I announce it, then I can show you what.
No, don't worry.
I have a question in terms of up and coming artists maybe directing where to send their music to what label, whether you have any tips or tricks on which label to pick, because sometimes personally I believe bigger isn't always better with labels, because that can pigeonhole you, that can have so many other disadvantages than a smaller, more independent label which may fit your sound more. So what would you advise artists to do in terms of picking a label?
I'd say really take your time with your productions, because I made the mistake of when I first started producing, I went to the biggest labels first and my music wasn't ready yet.
Yeah.
But luckily, CR2 picked me up straight away, and they must have seen something in me that obviously the other labels, didn't see. But I think it's best to start small and work your way up. Target some of the smaller labels that that are releasing the music you're making, and then work your way to the top. But there's no harm in what personally I would do is send my tracks to people that first and get feedback from an insider's point of view, rather than sending it to the labels and getting no feedback at all, because 9 times out of 10 they're not going to get back to you. They're just going to listen to your tracks, and because they get so many demos, a lot of the big labels, they're not going to reply back to you and saying, oh, cheers for sending me these, you need to do this, that and that to change the record. It's best to just start small and build your way up, and then once you have music coming out, people are going to warm to you, people are going to know about you, or the other big producers are going to know about you, and they're going to sometimes the big producers will contact you and say, have you got any music? I know this has happened a lot recently where people have been struggling to get on labels, but the actual main producer has put their email up, can you send me some demos because I want to hear some new music? And I think the bigger artists now are bringing the smaller artists through. I think that's a game changer right now, and I've seen it happen so much over the last couple of months, and it's great to see as well. It's giving all of us, anyone that's in the industry a chance to get on the label that they've always wanted to, which is amazing.
Yeah. And just a follow-up question from that, I think a big theme within the music industry as a whole is rejection. And as you've said about some labels, they probably don't even get back to you in terms of an email of, oh, no, thank you. How do you personally deal with that rejection and keep moving on? And how would you advise artists to get through that?
Yeah, it's hard. Rejection is hard. No one likes to be rejected in life, whatever situation. But I think it's an industry where you live and you learn. You kind of, it's a very cutthroat industry. And I just think you have to be quite thick-skinned to make it in this industry as well, because you're going to get a lot more setbacks than you are step forwards. I know for a fact I've had more setbacks than I have successes, but my persistence is what's kept me going and not giving up. That is one of my biggest assets, is just not giving up. If I've been rejected, I've been down a couple of days. It takes me a couple of days to get over it, but I just shake it off and then you go again. You just keep going and keep knocking at the door until you get to where you want, and that is the only thing you can do in this industry. And a lot of my friends will tell you that I just don't give up. I've just kept pushing at the door. My music might not be the best in the world, but do not give up, and I keep going. And that's the biggest advice I can give to anyone that's coming into the industry. Just keep pushing on. Don't worry about what anyone else is doing, and you will get there in the end.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that's definitely a theme that
Mhm.
keeps coming up in our podcast is consistency. Everybody keeps on about that.
100%.
So
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed.
And I think you're kind of a perfect example of hard work does pay off, because I think you've said and mentioned that you went to these certain labels and they said no, and 3 years later, you're now going to release a track with them. You've just got your Radio 1 play, and it just shows that persistence is key, and you're absolutely doing the right thing. So yeah, thank you for being a great example to everybody.
That's good.
Definitely.
Michael, what about you? Do you have any more questions, or
Yeah,
are you
definitely.
good?
I feel like I would like to know, where do you see Archie Beats in 5 years' time?
That's a good question. Well, like I said, I'm just enjoying the journey right now, and I've not really got any end goals as such. I just want to keep making the music I love to make. I want to keep DJing. A couple of goals would be to go out to Ibiza again and DJ out there, and get more Radio 1 plays. One thing that I've always dreamt of that I haven't had yet is an Annie Mac Radio 1 play. I've had Pete Tong, I've had Danny Howard, I've had Monkey. Now I've had like Charlie Hedges and the rest of them this week. But Annie Mac has just eluded me over the years, and that's been my main goal. I had 3 goals at the beginning of my journey. One was an Annie Mac play. One was a Ministry of Sound main room DJ set. And the other one was to DJ in Ibiza. I've done Ministry of Sound main room. I've done Ibiza, but I still haven't done Annie Mac. So that's like
That's the
my
top
main end goal, I'd say.
Yeah.
But the label goals now are starting to come through.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they're my smaller goals. I've got like 3 tiers of goals where I've got like weekly goals where I'm just trying to make new music, make new connections, new mixes, etc. Then I've got like my second tier where I'm going for the top labels, and then I've obviously got my third tier where it's the Annie Mac play, and it's like the defected record sign, and it's the pinnacle. Do you know what I mean? If that ever happens, I'll just be like, okay, I've done it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
no, you'll definitely get there. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, we just got to keep pushing. We got to keep pushing.
We'll all email her and say, play Archie Beats.
Yeah, for real.
we go back to the podcast and we go, remember that podcast?
Yeah,
exactly.
You'll be doing a podcast with her next.
There's a good way to do these things is to speak it into fruition. That's why I wanted to get to know your 5-year plan. So you've spoke it, you put it out there. So next time we probably have a podcast like you come on here and you've done them all. Do you know what I mean? So
100%.
speak it, believe him.
100%. It will happen. Definitely.
Yeah.
So, what about you? Any more questions?
Do I have a question? I actually got a few questions, but I'm just going to eliminate, and I'm going to ask you just one of my questions that I have. So, except for the label's promotion, right? Because obviously you said label pushes your music, and obviously some labels just don't do anything, just get your song from you, just shove it on the platforms, Beatport, Traxsource, blah blah blah, and then they do absolutely nothing else. What would you recommend artists to do in terms of to promote their music, especially these days? Because obviously we have internet now. You could do a lot of stuff, but except for your personal platforms, what else would you recommend artists to do in terms of promoting their music?
Like social media is a big thing. Like that's the game changer right now, because that's the only way you're going to get to promote stuff is on your online platforms. I think if you have a release coming out, it's worth putting some money into it. Say like doing a sponsored post or something, or you can like do Instagram posts now where you spend £20 and it's just like you target like music, like wherever you want to target, whatever countries you want to target. That's a good look to do that. I don't always do that, but if I have a big release, I will try and do a sponsored post just to get more reach, just to get it out there. Like he says, some labels would, like you say, just release it and then do nothing for you.
Yeah.
It's imperative that when you sign for a label, you talk to them about what they're going to do for you, what they're going to do for your music. Else it's just no point releasing with them. If they're just going to chuck it out and say, you're doing all the work, nah. Do you know what I mean? You've got to make
do that
sure.
yourself.
What's that?
You could do that yourself. You could just
You could do that
just go to CD Baby.
As you know, you
shove
could set up a promo company and just fling them out to all the DJs. But
that's it.
You know, you need to have some scope around it. You need to know who you're signing for. You know, if they're going to put your tunes in Spotify playlists, if they're going to get your magazine feature, if they're going to, what DJs they're going to send it to. You know, you want to know you're putting your music in the right hands. Because at the end of the day, you've put your heart and soul into that track or that EP or whatnot. You want it to be going to the best possible home it can be going to.
Definitely.
You know, your music is your baby at the end of the day, and you know it needs to be caressed and taken care of, like the way you've done it, the way you've made it.
Yeah.
So it's so important to sign for the right labels. You don't always have to be on the big labels for them to push you. It's all about being with the right people and around the right people in this industry. And once you get to that point, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, has anybody else open floor? Anybody got any questions, Archie? Do you have any questions, or are we all good?
I'm good.
Good, right?
Yeah,
definitely. We're all good, man. It's a good insight.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, I guess that just leaves us to say, Archie, thank you ever so much. It's been incredible to hear your story and hear your tips. So we really, really thank you for being part of the podcast and
thank
for
you
sharing
for having me. Thank you so much for having me. It's been lovely to meet you all.
Thank you very
Likewise.
much, bro.
Thank you. And we'll hear you on Annie Mac's radio show very soon.
Let's hope so.
Definitely.
Let's talk it to the town for me, please.
Yes.
we will.
Definitely.
All right, guys.
Brilliant.
Right.
Well, thank you ever so much. Have a lovely evening.
Yeah,
and we'll
and you
wish you all
take
the
care.
best.
See you soon. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.